discussion and consideration to direct staff to draft a code of ethics ordinance and provide a final draft by the April 20th Board of County Commission's meeting. And I would like to make an opening comment before we get into discussion about that item, if I can find my notes. So, reviewing the ethics ordinances that have been provided to us by the county attorney, I saw some really good ideas that I believe would be appropriate for Sandoval County. But I'm interested in hearing from you, my fellow county commissioners, as to your thoughts. Who would like to?
Do we need a motion here to discuss this?
No, we don't need a motion to discuss it. It's open to discussion.
Well, my thoughts are, yeah, we ought to move ahead and do that. What we ought to do is to have a committee. I think Commissioner Block had suggested this, that we have a committee of representatives from each one of this commission, and have them work on the detail, give them a timeline as to when they should come back to us with proposed text. We'll probably have several visits on that and come to a conclusion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Block.
just want to ask Mr. Heil, Commissioner Heil, a quick question. Are you proposing, Commissioner Heil, that we each appoint a citizen from our district to come together and do that? Is that what you're saying, or are you saying someone from the county to do that?
No, I think it should be a citizen.
I agree. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Just let me comment for a moment. This is similar to a process where Bernalillo County recently did a charter. Rio Rancho recently did a charter. A review. And what they did was they selected people from the community to be in that body, and gave them a timeline and gave them some direction as to what to accomplish, and then bring it back to this board. So I would see us following a similar process.
Commissioner Chapman. Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Block.
I agree wholeheartedly with Commissioner Heil on this. The other part that it brings to mind to me is we take this a step further. Potentially we can talk about the details even in closed session, but this is where we have, and it's a fantastic idea to bring the citizens together to come help craft this ordinance. One of the things I find very important for those of us, either as elected officials or our taxpayers out there, is I like citizen participation in your government. I do. And my vision for this, because I talked about this in January, my very first county commission meeting, to have a ethics and conduct ordinance, is this is really for elected officials too, because it's extremely important to hold us accountable as elected officials, and we should be. And that's where I envision a citizen commission, kind of like the Planning and Zoning Commission, where we appoint people from our respective districts to come together and look at some of these issues. Now, there's a lot of things that we have to do to figure out the operating procedures of that, and I'm sure the county attorney is going to be all over that, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I like the idea. I think that's the perfect way to do it, Commissioner Heil. And I look forward to this because Sandoval County has never had an ethics and conduct ordinance before. And I'm very proud to either co-sponsor it or sponsor it, whatever it may be. Because this, again, is the right thing to do for our citizens in Sandoval County. So thank you, Commissioner Heil. Great idea. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Block. Mr. Chair, Commissioner Heil.
On this citizens' involvement on this committee, is it, are we looking to see that it's a permanent committee, or are we just looking for a one-time?
No, the way, in my experience, the way these committees have worked before is they're chartered to do a particular task. And the task would be this ethics
ordinance.
And typically, again, in my experience, it's been like a 6-month window. We can make it shorter if we think we can accomplish it shorter, but we give them a window of time. They typically, what happens is they come back with a proposal, and then the commission will say, yes, we like that, or we don't like that, go fix this, or, and then they'll go through another review and then submit it back. So it's just whatever we think is a reasonable timeline. And I guess while I have the floor, I would ask the question of the county manager, is there a process whereby citizens have the opportunity to apply for this kind of commission? Because it's good to have people who care for this kind of stuff, because just picking out someone that, throwing them into this effort is, it requires some diligence and good text work.
Mr. Chair, if I can.
Commissioner Dominguez?
If I read you right, Commissioner Hile, you're saying that we bring up these citizens from our district and put them in a board of commission to
It's a committee, really.
a committee, not a commission. I just want to make that clear.
It's a short term.
And do they have a time limit as 1 year, 2 years, and then they
We
can be
would
replaced?
establish it. In the last charter committee I was on with Rio Rancho, it was 6 months. Now, if we feel it can be done quicker, or we feel more anxious about that, you can make it 3 months or 4 months.
Well, and I think the question was, how often does the ethic committee have to meet? Just who decides what time or what period of time they meet?
I guess we would decide.
We would decide.
First of all, you would decide that yes, you want to do the committee. And secondly, you would decide, well, we think this committee should last for X number of months. And then we would ask citizens in the community if they would like to step up and participate in that committee. And what typically would happen is the committee would meet, the charter committee in Rio Rancho, we met every 2 weeks. I don't know whether that's necessary or what, but anyhow, there would be some regular period of time they would report back to the commission saying, this is our progress and this is where we are with it, and they would be marching to a deadline.
Okay.
And then once that deadline is met, and once we would agreed and accepted their package, then that committee is dissolved.
And I'm assuming that we are going to go ahead and create some leadership on the people that are going to be on there, so you'll have someone directing
A chairman
what chairman. Yeah.
committee.
Typically, the committee would select their own chairperson.
Okay.
And typically, they would have guidance from ethics, probably our legal counsel and our HR might be the guidance to that.
Okay.
And probably our clerk would also have some input to that.
Thank you, Commissioner Heil. I just would like to add to the discussion a little bit in that there are some ordinances that are out there that we've been looking at that other governmental entities in the area have. And then, of course, you've got the state statute, the state ethics statute, which would be good guidelines for the citizens committee. I love the idea. I'm just trying to think who in my district would want to do it, but nevertheless, I'm sure there's somebody out there who'd be interested in doing it. And we can put a timeline. It just makes sense to have a citizen engagement in this thing, simply because I don't know if it makes sense for elected officials to put together an ethics ordinance for themselves. So I applaud the idea, and I think we can move on that tonight.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Blanc.
sorry to interrupt, sir. I like the idea of, it's really easy. It's easier for Rio Rancho to do it, Commissioner Hall, because everyone lives right there. For us, Commissioner Eichwald lives in Cuba. If there's a person in Cuba that wants to do this, it's very difficult to come down. I think, when we vote on this, we amend it. We basically just put a timeline on there. I think 6 months is probably an appropriate time to get this, especially with District 5, depending on who you appoint, Commissioner Eichwald, to come down. Just very sensitive to that, of their travel time. But 6 months, I think, is a fair assessment of how long this will take, because it's going to be a complicated issue, without a doubt, because whoever we appoint on this committee will have to coordinate with our attorney, HR, maybe the clerk, maybe county manager as well. but the right way to go, and I wholeheartedly agree with Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Heil, is to have a citizens committee come together in our county and put together a conduct and ethics ordinance. In 6 months, I think, Mr. Chairman, is probably the right amount of time to do it. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner
can we have a timeline as to when we need to appoint? Can we set that today? As to when we get somebody from our district to be able to represent?
I think that's a good idea.
Absolutely. I think it'd be good to put a timeline on this thing and try and get it agreed to tonight. I would just make one other recommendation, that the Citizens Committee have someone guiding them, and I recommend the county attorney for that position. And I want to know if the commission agrees with me. I think it makes sense to have somebody in the room who is got the background and the legal aspect that obviously is needed if we're going to draft anything that's going to end up being an ordinance. So that sounds appropriate, and everybody's nodding in agreement. So,
Mr. Chairman?
County Manager Rios.
Yeah. First of all, I think that's a great idea, whatever, I mean, I like Berlin County certainly, because I think it defines everybody's role in the ethics and conduct. But also, I think that the commission needs to understand there will have to be some staff support for this committee, because they just can't. They're going to be a volunteer group that's going to be assigned, that's going to be picked, but we're going to have to provide them with some staff support to be able to make sure that the documents are drafted and somebody's sending the information to the different committee members. So I would tell you that if it doesn't happen, is that at the preliminary, but you need to put some funding in there to make sure that they do have some staff support on it.
If I might elaborate on that for a moment.
Commissioner Heil.
I was chair of the last two charter committees for rearrangement, and there was someone from the city clerk's office at each one of the meetings documenting what was transpiring, providing back to that committee at each step along the way, the progress that committee could say, yes, that's what we agreed on at the last meeting, and then move ahead to the next meeting. So I would expect there would be some requirement from county staff to be able to move that process along, and be sure it's properly documented.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Heil, certainly the staff will provide, but I think that it needs to be part of the motion, because there's going to be some allocation of funding that will have to be done for that.
Okay, so at this point, I think we have the makings of a motion. I'm just wondering if any of us are capable of putting it in words. Maybe Commissioner Heil.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we form a committee for the review and, structure, if you will, of an ethics ordinance that we, meaning within the next 30 days, that we would find a volunteer that would be willing to do that from each district, and that after that 30 days, we would allow 6 months for the process to be completed for proposal back to this body.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, so I think our first meeting is in April. Is it April 2nd?
April 6th. April 6th. First meeting in April.
So I think between now and April 6th, just over 30 days, that should give us plenty of time to appoint somebody to our respective, from our respective district for the Citizens Committee. And we bring the names forward publicly here on the 6th of April, and then we press ahead with the 6 months from there.
And can we limit those meetings to no more than 2 a month?
Commissioner Eichwald, I think we could suggest that, but what we ought to do is leave it up to the committee, because you may find that the committee is, more flexible than that, and that, without, in my experience, it's the committee that decides how often they should meet to accomplish the goal. And in fact, if we can find a place that isn't dial-up in Cuba, we might even be able to do some of this by Skype.
You don't feel slighted when you Commissioner Arnold. Okay, so we're working towards
And Mr.
a
Chairman,
motion here.
I'm sorry for
Madam
interrupting,
President.
but I do want to highlight the issue of, I'm happy to head this committee and try to steer them in a direction that comes out with a product that you guys are requesting. However, in my experience, a citizen committee does take an awful lot of time and staff involvement. It's not just something that I'll be able to add on to my list of things. But in order to be done properly, I don't know how to structure getting more help, but I will need additional help in order to accomplish this. If we're talking about meetings, even twice a month, that's a significant amount of resources, which I'm happy to do, but I will need the financial support too on that.
Okay, I don't know what the financial aspect of it is. Maybe Phil has some sort of an idea, but I think we can develop that as we go along. I personally still have some discretionary funds that I'd be happy to throw at this out of my district to help get it done. I don't know if that'll cover it, but we can certainly look into that. Okay, so I think Commissioner Heil has got the makings of a motion. Do you want to take another shot at it? And maybe
You want me to do it again?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, we're going to form this ethics ordinance committee. We're going to give the committee a 6-month period of time to come up with a final proposal as to what the ethics ordinance should look like. We're going to each appoint a volunteer for this committee within the next 30 days. And we're going to find some money to help fund our legal team there as to what, to support this process.
And we can leave that up to County Manager Rios to take care of that for us. I think he's totally capable.
I have a second.
Commissioner Eichwald with a second. Let's vote on it. Madam Clerk.
Vice Chair Heil,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanc,
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner Eichel,
Yes.
Chairman Chapman.
Chair votes yes.